It's the Wrestling Caucus. I'm Peter A.
I'm Smiley Ariaga.
And today we're going to go through one of the biggest rumbles in history. There's a lot to talk about to the show, but also in the wrestling world, there's a huge elephant in the room, and I think it would be kind of a disservice to completely ignore it, even though the Wrestling Caucus is not a scandalous show. We don't enjoy scandals, but um, Vince McMahon, right? He's outed, being accused, there's a lawsuit out, being accused of heinous things that we won't really go into detail here, but every news outlet picked it up really quickly. He's out of WWE. He's out of TKO. Legitimately, he's gone. So now WWE is McMahonless. So Smiley, I want your thoughts on two things. One, do you think there's more fire to this smoke? Two, how do you feel about a McMahonless WWE?
I think a McMahonless WWE has been what people have been wanting for a long time. The McMahon, like Vince, obviously did the good he did for WWF at the time, and obviously, yeah, uh, in the conversation of different wrestling promoters between I'm always saying this because they're the two, I guess, top promotions, AEW and WWE. Yeah, Vince knows business a little better, but I think everyone had a breath of fresh air when Hunter took over things. I hope I hope it's just Vince involved with this. Clearly, it's just not. There's other names involved. I hope Hunter's not on that list. But because the Hunter is doing a lot better with WWE. Like I said, Vince did what he could, but now and plus, look, if anyone who listens to the show have seen Dark Side of the Ring, every other episode it goes back to Vince, something he did, something. So this, as messed up as this was, a lot of this stuff was not surprising to me at all. I kind of knew it was going to come eventually because think about it, how abruptly he stepped down. He only came back just to complete the merger and then he went away again. They didn't want him there. Like someone didn't want him there. And now it's like, there's no way for him back. But I don't know. Like, yeah, Vince did what he could, but now it's okay. If there's any time for you to go away, it's now.
Yeah, I mean, quickly as a promoter, yeah, he changed wrestling forever for either whether you look at it for the good or for the worse. But it's kind of like irrelevant, right? Because after a while he lost touch of what the wrestling fan wanted. Forget about the wrestling fan, the broader wrestling fan, WWE fans. For a long time people were chanting CM Punk and he was gone from the company. So he was out of touch of what people wanted. And B, it's all this stuff is consistent with his character. There's stuff about him going back 40 years. You know what I mean? And when you look at the lawsuit, there's a text message that just tells you everything you need to know. And from what wrestlers that worked during his tenure are saying, I think there's a lot more that's going to come out. This is
Oh
this is the
yeah.
beginning of the end.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This is the domino. Not all the dominoes have fell yet. I have a feeling about that, honestly.
Yeah, and I also think like we probably talked about a little bit a couple of years ago, um, when wrestling was kind of having, you know, uh, they were exposing certain toxic people in wrestling. Like some of those people, were kicked out, and I think it's going to happen again. And I was listening to Cody Rhodes talk about the locker room, and when he was asked a question about Vince's allegations, and he said the locker room is so much better. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing, but
Yeah.
he's saying we're moving in the right direction, and I want to believe him. I want to believe him, and I want to believe that wrestling is going to be a safer place for women, not just in the ring, but people working in the office. It's still a male-dominated business, but there's a lot more women coming in, and I hope to see a lot more women either in the ownership positions. And honestly, I think TKO should bring more women in, as a whole, and to make it a safer space for women to totally not accept, have a no tolerance policy for anything close to the things that Vince was doing since he took ownership of WWE in the 80s. Not even close. Like this should be just no, not at all. You know, it's happened. It happened in the broader entertainment world. You know, the Harvey Weinsteins were kicked out, the Bill Cosbys were kicked out, and
I mean, those are just some people. Those are just some of
yeah,
the like
yeah. So
that's the like tip of the iceberg. You know,
yeah, we're in the tip of the iceberg now. Yeah,
yeah. And you know the thing is like, you know, when people were on the hate train saying like, "Oh, CM Punk is the biggest cancer to any locker room," and I'm like, y'all forgot who Vince McMahon was? Are you kidding me?
it's apples and oranges. You
Yeah,
can't reason with people that just have no grasp
they just
of
don't
logic.
know.
You can't. Like you can't. But as far as lastly, a McMahonless WWE, long time coming. A long time
Yeah.
coming. The company has been publicly owned for like 25, 27 years or something, 1999. You know, I'm terrible at math. And Endeavor, TKO, the thing, you know, it really been kind of laissez-faire as far as McMahon's are concerned. Shane was out, Stephanie is out. And I think Hunter and Nick Khan, you know, Nick Khan on the business end, Hunter on the creative end, they've been doing great things because you got the Netflix thing, and it's great. Hopefully they are going to cultivate a culture safe for women, and that's all I'll say about that. Anything
Well,
to add about this situation?
well, Hunter obviously, like, I mean, if you look at how women were treated in NXT as opposed to like on the main roster, it is apples and oranges. So, you know, Hunter either is, you know, knows, I'm sure he knows people that can do better in that regard. I mean, like, I still think the women's tag titles are, you know, I think they should just focus on their single stars, but like that's a whole nother thing. But, you know, I'm glad that they're actually trying. Like, they're actually trying, like, with their women.
And that's a good
And
point. Like, you brought up NXT and WWE at the time when Triple H was running things down there. Yeah, it was two different worlds. It was literally two different universes, two different ways of thinking. You know, at the time when all those NXT takeover matches between Bayley and Charlotte and Sasha Banks was happening, there was still a Divas title.
yeah,
That tells you everything. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Look how Asuka was presented at NXT as opposed to her on the main roster when Vince was there. Like, I don't know, man.
All right, let's move on. Royal Rumble. Let me get your general thoughts on the show. I really liked it. I thought it was one of the better shows. Do I like it as much as last year? I don't know. I gotta think about that. But give me your general thoughts on this show.
I thought overall, like, I mean, the show, I had a lot more fun watching this. Like, I mean, we had a lot of fun at World's End when we saw it, but as in terms of like a better presented wrestling show, minus all the video packages, on a wrestling standpoint, this was much better. And it was a lot of fun. The Rumble is always fun. Whether there's good parts or, you know, the scary parts. Like we're particularly if we want to get to the first women's Rumble, the women's Rumble was first, right?
Yeah, we'll get there. But I think
Yeah.
generally speaking, this show was great. It was excellent. I love the results of the two Rumbles matches. And as far as the video packages are concerned, yes, there was a lot of them. But I think that compared to previous WWE shows over the years when they started running those packages, this is minuscule. It's night and day. But
Yeah.
I do think they should trim down the fat a little bit in that regard.
Honestly,
But
most
yeah,
of the fat that could have been trimmed down, that shit in the pre-show. Like all that, like the round table crap with their, this is nonsense. Like a lot of like the bits, like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of there are some parts in there was some fat in the show that needed trimming. Some of the bits weren't needed. Like you've been spending months building, using, having promos on TV, building to this stuff. This should have been the night where there was the least talking. You heard, like, you know, like, I don't know. I could have done without a lot of the dumb skits. Like, you hear R-Truth running into the women's rumble. Like, I love Ron Killings. I love the guy. The guy is amazingly talented. We don't need to see him look like an idiot every time. And look, he busts his ass, but he deserves better than that. I don't know.
I agree. So let's get into the women's rumble match. What'd you think?
Uh, it was like a lot between like, oh my god, this is really cool, and then there were parts where it was just like, oh, why did they do that? Like Naomi came back and it was like, oh yeah, everyone's happy to see Naomi. Look, Naomi had the best outfit in that entire match. She had probably the best outfit of the night. Sweet Jesus Christ. Some of the things that she was trying to do here in terms of spots, yikes. 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 And it's not just her. It ain't just her, but man, oof. I was like, oh boy, I was getting a little scared.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
There was one instance when fucking Nia Jax picked up Piper Niven and dropped her in a way that I did not like. Ooh, man. Yikes. Oh, and there was another instance where um someone tried to body slam Naomi and dropped her mid pickup.
Was
And
that Jordan Grace?
no, well, Jordan Grace sucks too, but it was another one who whose name I didn't know tried to pick up Naomi and dropped her mid pickup, and Naomi almost landed on her head.
Was it Tiffany Stratton?
I think so.
I don't know.
No,
I don't
no,
want to
no,
put the
no,
blame
no,
on her,
no,
but
no,
I'm
no,
not
no,
sure who
not
it was.
Tiffany. No, it wasn't her. It was someone wearing blue. Another nameless. I don't know. Like a lot of them were kind of interchangeable.
Indy Hartwell?
No, and Indy Hartwell actually didn't do anything horrible in this match. She didn't.
Yeah, she actually did pretty good.
Yeah, it was someone else like whose name who I just can't name. It was someone trying to pick up Naomi for a body slam, and it looked rough.
Yeah. I
Rough.
think it was a problem with the men's rumble too, but maybe to a lesser degree. There was a lot of just spots in the women's rumble match. You know what I mean? Like people
And
just doing things for the sake of doing it
yeah.
and not actually just trying to throw people over the top rope, which is what you're supposed to do.
Like that smaller wrestler who does a lot of the athletic stuff. What's her name? She was one half of the tag team champions. She
Katana Chance.
yes. Her first move in the match was a move where she flipped herself out of the ring and then back in. I'm like, yo, someone could have easily just pushed her out. And it would have made, like, honestly, yeah, it would have made it look like crap. It would have made it like an idiot. But honestly, one, you would have deserved that, and two, it would have made sense. Like a lot of people, there are certain people like people like Bayley and others were trying to throw people out of the ring. They were trying to win the match. Other people's like, look at my spots. Like, I'm gonna do a move that will progress nothing. It will have nothing to do with me throwing you out. I'm just gonna do a fancy move that looks so cooperative too. A lot of this stuff looks so cooperative, but in terms that's just like negative. In terms of like positive, people like Bayley, other people like anyone in damage control, they were trying to win. They were trying to a lot of people other people were trying to win the match. Like I'm happy Bayley won. She was one of the only people who was actually trying to win.
Yeah, I'm glad that Bayley won too. I didn't expect it. I thought Becky Lynch was going to win because she
Yeah,
has
me
her
too.
book coming out and all this stuff. But I'm very excited to see that Bayley won and to see what's going to happen there. We'll talk about that in a second. But I want your thoughts on two things. So first of all, I think this women's rumble was the best women's rumble since they started in 2018. What do you think? Do you agree?
Part of me, I don't know. Maybe I got to rewatch last year's. I remember last year's being a little more solid and being a little more action packed and more like, oh, this is cool. Like, oh wow. But this was a little slower. But um, but I don't know. Like this was still fun, and there were pleasant surprises. Like Jade Cargill did pretty good. Like you can tell the short amount of time that she's been in the performance center did her well. She looks pretty solid. I was actually shocked when she got eliminated. I thought as soon as she came in, I thought, oh yeah, it ain't gonna be Bayley's night. Jade's gonna win this shit. And no, but no, Jade did a good job. And Nia wasn't as scary as I thought. Um, not as scary as like Jordan Grace or some other people who should not have been in there.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about Jade Cargill. And when she came in and Becky got thrown out, I'm thinking Jade's probably going to win.
Yeah.
I thought Jade Cargill did great. And she comes across as a superstar. She looks like a superstar. The only issue is, I think they shouldn't make the same mistake they did with Batista and Goldberg when he came back to WWE the first time. These people's Goldberg, Jade Cargill, Batista, their strengths are not in traditional 15, 20-minute main event matches. It just isn't. If you look at Triple H versus Goldberg from Unforgiven 2003 and Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg from WrestleMania in 2017, night and day. Night and day. Goldberg and Batista, their strengths are get in, get out, big power moves, go home. That's it. Batista and Triple H tried to have Harley Race, Ric Flair type of matches. It wasn't going to happen that way. The Hell in a Cell, that's where Batista is great in. He's great. Big power moves, big weapon spots. Keep it short and sweet. Batista is
trying to beat him up. Like Batista will be trying to beat someone up. Like he has the intent to hurt. He has the intent to hurt. Like there, like I don't want to jump around here a little bit, but like the Logan Paul and Kevin Owens match. Quick disclaimer: Kevin Owens is one of my favorites in WWE. He always will be. That was an example of trying to put him and Logan Paul. They were trying. I guess they were trying to make Logan Paul look good. They were trying to have a long competitive match, and Logan was doing everything in the book. Some of it looked some of it, dude, this match would have been better if it was 6 minutes.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, yeah, that's an example what you were just saying. Like, they were trying to have, I hope they don't do that with Jade. Just do everything. No. Because some people really think that wrestling, this shit is all about moves. It's all about how many moves you can do and not the stuff in between the moves, how you move around the ring, how you move to the next thing. Like, it's always just, we got to do our spots. Like, I literally saw people in this Women's Royal Rumble literally coordinating spots on the fly. Like, oh, go pick me up, do this. And I'm like, holy mother of God. Are you even trying to win? Like, I don't know, man. It's not about moves. It's not all about moves.
Exactly. Lastly, on the Women's Rumble match, Jordynne Grace, a TNA wrestler, right? They did the same thing with not Becky Lynch, Mickie James a few years back. What do you think of WWE using talent from different promotions in the Royal Rumble?
I think it's great. I wish we saw Mickie James and not Jordynne Grace. I wish we saw Mickie James here. I really.
For all it's worth, I'm not a huge fan of Jordynne Grace's opinions of how pro wrestling should be presented.
Ugh.
However, I thought she did a fine job. There were some things that she did, again, what we were talking about, spots, just spots for the sake of spots. But I thought she did fine. That being said, I like the idea of, especially for the Royal Rumble, WWE or even AEW, because they already do it. Well, actually, they're a bad example because they already do this already.
They do this a lot.
Working with other promotions like a TNA or, whoever, All Japan, whoever AEW is not working with. That's not going to conflict on anything. I like the idea because a lot of people like surprises in the Royal Rumble. I don't necessarily need to be surprised. I just want the best outcome that is a perfect path for WrestleMania. And you're making new stars along the way. That's all it needs to be. But I do like the idea of them having people from other promotions come in to introduce the fans to. It helps wrestling as a whole, in my opinion.
The last time a Royal Rumble entry shocked the crap out of me was AJ Styles when he debuted.
Yeah, number 3.
That was the last time I was like, whoa. Because that Rumble, it's AJ Styles. 2, that Rumble was a unique Rumble. It was actually a Rumble that was for the WWE title. Roman entered at number 1 and was defending the championship. And the third guy that comes in is the biggest star on the planet. That was the last time I was really shocked by a Royal Rumble. So, yeah. but if you try to force that, it's always going to be like, oh, whatever,
Yeah.
This year's number 30 though in the men's Royal Rumble with we'll talk about it, but I like this year's number 30, and we'll get into that.
Right. Moving on to the Fatal 4-Way for Roman Reigns' Undisputed Universal Championship, we had Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, LA Knight, and Randy Orton. What'd you think of this?
Yeah. I knew I was gonna like this match, and I really did. This match was real. Yo, there was a part where I really thought Randy was gonna win the championship. I think like a lot of people were ready for it too. I really thought Randy was gonna win the title, and well, obviously he was screwed over. But no, this was look. These are for the best wrestlers in this company, and they know how to work. They're not spot monkeys. They're not idiots. They knew what the story was for the match. We want this title, and Roman is a threat. We get him out of the way, and we fight it amongst ourselves. This match was great, and it wasn't too long too. Actually, part of me wanted it to be a little longer, but it was great. It left you wanting more.
Honestly, if this show was just 3 matches, 2 Rumbles, and this 4-way, it would have been perfect. But this match, as far as the non-Rumble matches are concerned, this was the best match on the card outside of the Rumbles. Even though there's only 4 matches, I know this it's not saying a lot, but I thought this match was excellent. It was the 4 perfect guys to do it. You got Roman, established star, Randy, established star, AJ, established star, up and coming star, LA Knight. Everyone looked good. It wasn't just Roman dominating and just heat, heel heat, heel heat, heel heat, a little babyface shine, heel heat, heat, heat. No. Everyone looked good. They tried their best to make you think, oh, Roman may drop the title tonight. But yes.
And I think I'm glad Roman didn't dominate, because the whole story was that the Fatal 4-Way was a punishment for disrespecting Nick Aldis. Now, if Roman wasn't worried about it, then it wouldn't be much of a punishment, now would it? Like, but like, one thing I will say, this about the pay-per-view, I would have cut the U.S. title match, because if they're defending the world title here, I would have cut the U.S. title match. I would have put Kevin and Logan in the Royal Rumble. You know, instead of, I love Pat McAfee. That didn't need to happen. I would have put those two in the Rumble, or at least one of them. And instead of a U.S. title match, because if Gunther's not defending the IC title, the U.S. title does not need to be defended. And I would have put a women's title. I would have had Rhea or Io defend their title. Like, because like, I love Io Shirai and I love Rhea. I love them in singles competition. They're world champions. Like, if you're gonna have the only other matches that should have happened tonight, other than the Rumbles, were a world title match or a women's world title match. And instead of a U.S. title match, I would have loved either Rhea or Io to defend one of the titles. But that's just me.
I agree. There was a lot of testosterone on this show.
Yeah.
I would have loved at least one women's match on this thing. But one more thing regarding the Fatal 4-Way, I thought it was a brawl. It was a lot more of a brawl because I saw a lot of punches being thrown. You know what I mean? Like, I thought you don't see that in wrestling that much
Well,
anymore.
because these guys actually know how to throw punches.
Yeah,
A lot of other people don't know how to fucking throw a wrestling punch.
Yeah, LA Knight was throwing punches like it was the 80s.
And Randy Orton, AJ, like, oh yeah, all 4 of these guys actually know how to like work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and AJ and Randy Orton was working like the legacy star. He did his stuff, but he wasn't like phoning it in at all. He was great.
No,
all Randy the RKOs out of nowhere. Yeah,
Randy wanted to win the title. You saw it on his face. He wanted to win the championship. He was in it. Like,
and I love when Roman was he was selling those punches that LA Knight was throwing at him. He was taking them like a champ. It was great. I thought he did a great job.
Selling on a wrestling show? Isn't that crazy?
A foreign concept. Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy?
This match was very exciting.
Yeah, it was great.
Was it on the level of Seth Rollins, John Cena, and Brock from 2015? No. No, not really. But that match felt like it was just chaos. This was great. It was something that like an AJ Styles doesn't really do much. You know what I mean? Because he's a high flyer, do a lot of stuff. He did his stuff, but ever since AJ came back to WWE, he was a different level. Like it was about picking apart a body part and doing things at the right time, and he was excellent at it. Everybody was great. This was so exciting. It was very dramatic. and you had the bloodline come in and Solo coming in. I thought that was cool. It wasn't overdone, and it was just Solo. It wasn't like Jimmy and whoever. And I thought it was great. It was really good. Anything else on
No,
this?
like also I'm happy AJ brought back the tights and not I hate seeing people wrestle in black dress pants. It reminds me of Corporate Kane.
What did you think of Michael Cole? Was like, for those people who say Roman doesn't defend his title, my response is, then he pauses. Beat him. Isn't that what he said? He said beat him?
I thought he said beat it. Listen,
Beat it or beat him?
I don't think listen, I don't think he knew what he said.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
I thought it was funny, but I don't think he even knew what he said.
Oh man. It was perfect. It was perfect. And Roman shouldn't be defending the title every week. I don't want to get into that. It's so stupid. But I think Roman winning, I thought was great. It set the WrestleMania stage and everything like that. And he's either gonna. I would have been okay with him not winning, but it's, to me, the person that should win should beat Roman definitively. You know what I mean?
See,
yes, you can eat. Yeah, go ahead.
Wait, I cut you off. What were you saying?
Oh, go ahead.
If Roman winning, now Cody, spoiler alert, now Cody can beat him at Mania.
Yeah.
If the only other person who should have won this match, other than Roman, if you're gonna give it to anyone else and shock everybody, Randy. Because
that wouldn't shock anyone.
Not really, but like, you know, everyone would have been happy. But the point is that like Randy winning, if Randy had won, then Cody can wrestle Randy, and there's a lot of history there.
Sure.
But other than that, Roman was the guy because there's the current history that he has with Cody. Cody literally is now on a few list of people who have won the Rumble twice. Him and Roman makes more sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. But if you had to give it to anyone other than Roman, I would have said Randy. I love AJ in LA, but yeah. Like it was either Roman or Randy tonight winning that.
Okay. Chip. Okay, this next match is not much to say. We won't spend a lot of time on it. It's Logan Paul and KO. US title. They went 14 minutes to a disqualification.
Oh, that's what happened at the end of this? Yeah, it was bullshit. It was like
this
Raw.
Was stupid.
It was dumb. Yeah,
this was like so stupid.
Kevin Owens is amazing. Kevin Owens was doing the company a favor tonight. That's just how I look at it. That's how I look at it. He was, look, we got to get this YouTuber over. Let him do his moves. You know, Kevin is always great, but.
And they tried to tell the story of Kevin's injured hand, right? But then Logan Paul, who knows how to do stuff, right? Tried to do some sort of weird submission move that he doesn't know anything to do. Maybe he watched 2 Rey Mysterio matches and he thought, I can do that. And it just looked stupid. It looked horrible. And this whole match went on way too long. The crowd was dead. They were exhausted. They had a whole Royal Rumble match. They had a huge world title match with a whole lot of dramatic things going on. They were wiped out. And you give him this. And then it was a stupid finish when Logan Paul's dork friend comes in, gives him the brass knuckles, and then Logan Paul tries to use him, doesn't work. Then KO, instead of just throwing it out, he uses it. And if he's going to use it, but then get rid of it. No, he was a dumbass babyface. He put it, and then the ref, while he's about to count to 3, he sees it on his fucking hand, and it was so a waste of, if you're going to do a stupid finish like that, at least go like 5-6 minutes. Let them, or brawl or whatever.
Like you freaking said, have Kevin throw out the brass knuckles, powerbomb him through the ring, and pin him. And then win the title, and everyone's happy. Like
every Logan Paul match, the last few, they have shenanigans thinking that, okay, they're going to do that match again. Because what happened with Ricochet, right? I think some sort of hoopla happened. I don't remember. But I'm thinking, oh, they're going to do another match with, I don't know what they're doing here.
Look, Logan Paul's wrestling style is look at how many moves I can do.
Because I most certainly, after watching this match, I most certainly don't want to see Kevin Owens and Logan Paul do anything
I don't want to see
at
anyone with
all.
Logan Paul. I don't want to see anybody with
It was
Logan
a
Paul.
waste of time. It was a waste of
Jesus.
time. So stupid. Okay. We got the men's Royal Rumble. What'd you think? A lot happened.
Oh, this was great. The men's rumble was. I think I didn't take any notes for this match. I was too busy freaking watching it. Nah, this was really fun. The only thing I could have done without, honestly, like I know Pat McAfee, the whole gag was like, oh, I'm gonna eliminate myself because I'm not gonna deal with that shit. Honestly, I would have rather Pat McAfee be in here for a few minutes because Pat McAfee is actually fun to watch. Like Pat McAfee, he works well, he bumps really well. He could like you remember what happened to Chelsea Green in the women's rumble match? Chelsea Green put on a selling clinic in the women's rumble match. Everyone was
Yeah, she was
she
great.
was just taking it, getting her ass beat and selling it. I would like I wanted to see something like I like watching Pat McAfee work. Like he works well, he sells well, he bumps great. I would have liked to see a little brief thing where everyone's beating him up, and then he gets tossed out. Like, I was actually kind of, but I could have done without Omos, whatever the hell his name is, because. But other than that, like this match ending with Cody and Punk was sick, and I love how it came down to Cody, Punk, Gunther, Priest, and and number 30, Sami Zayn. You know what's crazy? We were just talking. While we were watching the match, I was like, man, I miss Sami Zayn, yo. Where the hell's Sami Zayn? Like, he's the man. And number 30, right 2 seconds later, Sami Zayn. And everyone lost it. Like, I'm glad he's back in the mix again. Like, I would love to see him work with Punk and Cody. But Gunther, I'm happy it came down to like a lot of great people. Like
Yeah.
I can say this about the women's rumble and the men's rumble. The last like 10 minutes of each of those matches was so good. It was so fun.
And I think with both Rumble matches, like the last few people are in it were people that were established and then people they're trying to make, right? Because you had Bayley, then you had like Jade Cargill. In the men's, you had CM Punk, Cody, but then you also had Gunther. You had Sami Zayn, Damian Priest, right? You had established people and then people they're trying to make. I thought that was great. And the last two people, Cody and Punk, I thought it was great. It was so great to see these two. I'm glad it was the last two. Like, because the promo that they had on Raw on Monday, unbelievable, just unbelievable. It made me want to see. Okay, it's got to be these two, like the last two. And I thought one thing that was interesting. I can get your thoughts on this. Punk said he's like, I'm not going to lose to Dusty's kid, right?
And he lost to Dusty's kid.
Exactly. But what's interesting is on Monday, Punk was like, I hope we're still friends on Sunday. Which makes me think maybe Punk might turn heel. Because Cody is just a white meat babyface. Punk can also be a babyface too, but to me, for the summer, let's say if Cody goes to WrestleMania and beats Roman, if that happens, and Cody's champion, what's next? You can do a whole summer of Cody and Punk. What do you think?
No, that would be great. You know what I really like, but this is like fantasy booking at this point. Well, CM Punk winning the Chamber is not fantasy booking in my head because like I kind of had an idea that Cody was gonna win and Punk was gonna like maybe get at the Chamber because they showed all the stats and like show how like Cody has potential to win the Rumble twice, and I thought okay they might give it to Cody, and then in the Elimination Chamber preview they had Punk in there.
Yeah, he's already been announced for that.
Huh?
He's already been announced for the Chamber.
Exactly. So yeah, there you go. But like, I would like both of them to win world titles at Mania, and then for their feud, they unify the belts.
Great. I'd be cool with that.
Unify the belts. And the same thing, I want the same thing to happen with the women. I want Bayley to win a title. Whether Becky beats Rhea Ripley or not, I want the two women's championships to And these are stuff you can build feuds and matches around. Unify both belts.
As much as I like that idea,
They're probably not
going to
do
happen.
that.
Here's why it's not going to happen. You got like $5 billion worth of rights fees for Raw going to Netflix.
Yep.
Then you got other $500 million in TV rights for SmackDown. There's going to be 2 shows for the foreseeable future. So, to me, because Punk, he's getting older. If he has one universal belt, or if Cody has one universal belt, he's got to travel a lot. So I think having 2 belts, separate belts for now is great because it lightens up the travel load for whoever.
I mean, Punk doesn't wrestle a lot.
He doesn't, but the thing is, if you're champion on both, fans are gonna expect to see you on both shows.
Oh, I mean, here's one thing you can do, but they'll never do this. But here's one idea you could do. Maybe like, what if like when you unify the women's titles, you unify the world titles for one show, for one main show, you have the undisputed women's champion. On another main show, you have the undisputed world champion on
it. What do you mean?
Like, you know, on one show, like say for example, if Rhea is the undisputed women's champion, she'll be on SmackDown. If Cody's the undisputed world champion, he can be on Raw. That kind of thing. You know, what? Instead of having like each show having 2 instead of like each show having a women's.
What about the women on the? Let's say if Rhea's on Raw.
Yeah, that's true. No,
there's going to be separate titles because there's 2 shows and they have a lot of talent.
They have a big ass roster.
They have a huge roster. Right now, they're going to have 2 belts. So that's not really a big problem. They just got to make each of them as prestigious. Like one can't be less than the other, in my opinion. They got to work on that, but that's another thing. But I think WrestleMania's main event scene, at least for the men, is a little muddy because you got the Dwayne Johnson of it all, right?
Yeah.
What do you do? It's complicated. The simple path is Cody and Roman, but then Rock wants, you know, what I mean? Rock, yeah. So you could do a 3-way.
Well, he's the head of TKO, isn't he? He's already the head of the table.
No, he's on the board of directors.
I know, but let him have that. Like, I mean, if you're gonna involve The Rock, if you're gonna, I want to enjoy as much Rock as I can while he's still in the wrestling world. If you're gonna have The Rock there, like we were talking about this, he doesn't need a championship.
Or Roman could do double duty. Friday night is Rock and Roman, and Sunday night is Cody and Roman.
Well, Roman would have to beat The Rock on night 1 because if he loses to The Rock, yeah. There you go. Or you could do a thing maybe like if Roman loses the title on night 1, then you know for night 2 of WrestleMania to close out, you know, you have him and Rock have like just an exhibition, that kind of thing. But I think it probably makes more sense if you're gonna have Rock wrestle. Yeah,
because the Roman lost. Roman lost night 1. The night 2, he goes in there kind of like, you know, discombobulated, and then he beats The Rock. So he'll lose one, but he wins another huge one. Yeah. So that works too.
I think. I mean, this is what I heard, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Like, but when I heard about this, I thought like, oh, I wish this should happen because it makes sense. Like the Elimination Chamber is gonna be in a big arena, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking that Rock and Roman happened there at the same night as the Chamber, and then Mania is just for Punk and Cody, and Seth and Roman. You know,
not Seth and Roman. It's got to be Seth. I mean? Like it's got to be Seth and Punk.
Yeah. For Punk and Seth, and like for Cody and Roman, let them have Mania, but have the Rock match in the big stadium, Elimination Chamber. Because like, well, like, I understand the argument can be like, oh, well, it's Elimination Chamber, but one of the biggest matches of the past few years in WWE took place in Elimination Chamber, Sammy and Roman, and Rock is even bigger. So why? I don't know. Figured to have Rock in the big stadium show. So
why not?
Leave Mania to the younger current guys, I guess.
But also it's like you have 2 nights, you gotta sell tickets.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but money talk.
But it's not like The Rock not being there. It's still gonna be a sold out show. But anyway.
The Rock is still gonna probably have a promo. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if The Rock is making this his last match, but if he's going out, then I guess, you know, it will make more sense.
It's gotta be WrestleMania.
For him to be at Mania.
Yeah,
and stuff. I just don't want like either Cody or Punk to get shafted. That's what I don't want. That's all
No, I think they will get shafted because let's say if Seth is healthy enough to wrestle Punk at WrestleMania. That's something. That's huge. That could be
And
one
wait,
night.
and actually, a lot of people thought that Cody was gonna get shafted out of WrestleMania when The Rock came back, and the motherfucker beat CM Punk in the Royal Rumble for the
Yeah.
second year in a row. He won. So okay, yeah, that deaded all those rumors. Like Cody's not getting shafted at all. Hell no.
No.
So yeah,
He'll be fine.
yeah.
Yeah, I think at WrestleMania, I think everybody knows. Not everybody knows, but the right thing to do is for Cody to win. Whatever that means, whoever he's gonna beat. I mean, he's got to beat Roman.
All fantasy booking aside, we've been doing a lot of fantasy booking for this, but all fantasy booking aside, yeah, Cody being Roman, that's just like math.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you gonna do? What? But no. But here's another thing I'm worried about. The other thing looming over our heads that we haven't discussed: the Money in the Bank.
That's right.
So someone is getting screwed.
Yeah.
Someone's getting screwed.
Someone's
Like
getting screwed.
If Punk has his big win over Seth, Damian Priest can come out and fuck that up.
CM Punk's got to take it on the chin for yeah, because he's already established.
If Cody beats if Cody beats Roman again and finally finishes the story, Priest can come out and fuck that up. So we got it's looming. He's not gonna cash in for the IC title. He's gonna cash in for the world title.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
And I like Damian Priest, but it's just that's why I hate the Money in the Bank, man.
Yeah,
that's why I
exactly.
freaking hate it.
All right, what do you think Bayley's gonna do?
Bayley?
Yeah.
I think the logical story there is because she's already been kind of falling out with Damage Control. She's been bigging them up a lot. So imagine, even though Io Shirai is lovely and everyone loves her, maybe what if they could do a thing where Asuka and Kairi and Dakota decide to turn on Bayley, and although Io Shirai is not okay with it, she goes along with it reluctantly, and then they can do a thing where Bayley's like, I built you all up and you all betrayed me. Now I'm coming for that title, whether you want or not. You can build a lot of interesting drama there. Hopefully it won't end up just being silly, but there is stuff you can do with that. There is something you can do.
There is stuff you could do there, but I feel like the bigger match is going to be Bayley and Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley.
What about Becky and Rhea Ripley?
Sure.
Because there's 2 world titles.
Oh, that's true. You could do that too.
See, this is one of the reasons why I want the titles to be unified, but I digress. For the sake of, because there's 2 women's world titles, my estimate, Bayley goes after Io's because she's been, in her mind, because she runs Damage Controls, in her mind, ever since Io won that title, it's like she won that title.
Yeah,
now
that's true.
For real.
I think, yeah, you're right. I think the better storyline is the Damage Control Dissension, and then you could do Becky Lynch or Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley. Who knows? I don't know. Or maybe you could do Becky beats Rhea at WrestleMania, and then a whole summer of Jade Cargill and Becky. You could do that.
Yeah, Jade can beat Becky down the line. That's one opponent, because when Becky won the championships, her first opponent was Lacey Evans.
Oh,
now the talent pool is a lot bigger. Whoever beats Ripley, if Becky beats Ripley, because my guess is that Becky would win the women's elimination chamber and then have a shot against Ripley. She beats Ripley, and then Jade's next in line.
Yeah.
You see, there's stuff you can actually do here. There's if they do it right, there's stuff you can do here.
Yeah, because that's what happens when you have a lot of star power.
And hell, even if Punk doesn't get screwed by Damian Priest, you know who his first opponent can be? Either Gunther or, more importantly, Drew McIntyre. Because Drew and Punk were working so well together in this Rumble. Like the way Punk was selling for Drew, the way Drew was just beating the crap out of him. He was showing that I don't like you, screw you, I don't like you. And they were doing a good job. So down the line, I want to see Drew and Punk. I really want to see that.
Yeah, me too. This is a great show. The Royal Rumble this year was awesome. We're going to wrap it up today for the Wrestling Caucus. I'm Peter A.
I'm Smiley Ariaga.
Later days.